Hi, I'm Nick Nanton, and welcome to Times Square today, the morning show that matters. And today I've got a great guest for you, medical pioneer, inventor, entertainer, Dr. Ken Albrecht. Dr. Ken, welcome to the show.
How do you do?
Doing great, thank you. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah.
You do a lot of cool stuff. I know most of your professional life these days is in the medical and wellness community, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, it's sort of been a bit of a journey, you know. When people look back, always wonder how they become what they became. And, you know, I think really for me, it all started when I was about 5 years old when I started playing drums. My dad was a drummer. You know, went off to 7, got my first set of drums when I was 7. I think my mom and family told me that I knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was 9.
Wow.
Okay. I guess for sure it was when I was 11. In all honesty, a nice summer day, a good-looking cheerleader, a pair of drumsticks, and before you know it, even when I went into the beginning of high school, I was a professional drummer, and I've been one all my life, you know, rock and roll. But the thing was when I went to Southmore, I had to make a decision of whether or not I could be a famous rock and roll drummer, which I absolutely could have been, and continued to play really well, or a doctor. And I didn't want to go into business because I sort of felt it was a bit cutthroat and it just wasn't for me. And so I wanted it, and I couldn't go down the path of being a professional drummer because, well, I just felt I needed more of a position in society that people respected and had an impact on people's lives and, you know, have a reasonable return for what you contribute to society, so I chose to become a doctor. Went off to Long Beach for 1 year of training, went out to, then after that, 4 years in Northern Illinois. And after that, medical school for 4 years with a combined MD PhD program at the University of Cincinnati, and then after that, 3 more years of training at the University of Michigan.
Wow.
And internal medicine, and then 2 years of residency. And when I came out, I looked at the industry and said, I'm not going to be that kind of doctor. And when I really saw that people were frustrated, lost in the system, treated like a number and whatever, and I looked at my profession and saw that it was really quite disorganized, and I saw that both of those things were going to have a negative impact on my life. And so it was that time I simply dedicated my career to building highly personalized, cost-effective healthcare delivery systems that had a big, significant impact on people's lives, both mentally and physically. So, you know, when you think back of all the things I do, you're talking about in the movie industry and whatever, I look back and I think, you know, I've always done things that made people healthy, wealthy, and happy. And that's me. And so we created this thing called Apple Medical Network USA, and a division of that is Apple Medical Home Health, and Apple stands for Associated Professionals for Personal Life Enhancement. And here we are in Times Square with all the noise in the background. It's great to be here.
Tell us a little bit about personal life enhancement, and obviously compared to the industry today, which is still what you saw years ago. I mean, it's probably just getting worse.
Well,
The number, you know, waiting a long time, no one really cares when they see you. Tell us about the difference that you guys are making today.
Well, again, a lot has to do with the frustration of the patient. I've always felt that the greatest limiting factor in delivering healthcare is really the personality of the patient and the disorganization and fragmented system of healthcare. And so throughout my practice when we built Apple, which was office-based, everything was directed toward patient personality. And when managed care came into the world, it really, really broke down doctor-patient relationships.
Right.
I mean, I saw good patients leaving great doctors, and I was ending up getting patients from really great doctors, and I thought, what the hell is going on? Yeah. And so I'm being entrepreneurial. I had the opportunity to take Apple's concept of wellness and function, went off to the corporate world, became a medical director at Commonwealth Edison, AT&T, largest company on the planet Earth, and Travelers Insurance. And then I took a look back at where my passion really was to have an impact on people globally, not just in the commercial world, and saw the opportunity to look at home health and the idea of what neat environment would be next. Where is the future of healthcare going? Because I've been the guy that's 5 and 10 years ahead of the pack. And so came up with this idea of house calls and lots of reasons why. And so we built Apple Medical Home Health. And what's interesting is that although you would think it was just health calls, when we take a look back at it, over the last 12 years, we actually built a community-based healthcare delivery system that we now call modern-day health calls. Apple stands for Associated Professionals for Personal Life Enhancement, and it's a network of people working together to deliver healthcare actually in the home environment or environments where a number of people live in independent housing and things like that. And the thing is that it's like the future of healthcare. I really think that the office visit that you have now, where people are so busy and sit there for 2.5 hours, and all the people that can't even get to the doctor's office, is really going to change. So I think house call, whatever you call it, house calls, modern day house calls, community-based healthcare delivery, the efficiency that can be made from it, is where I think it's going to go.
Very good. And obviously, you've been quite an innovator. Tell me this: how have you been able to stay so far ahead of the curve?
Well, I would have to. I knew this question would come up. I think I just inherited a lot from my mom. She's had great foresight, very much into personality, and I've been very much into personality and how to work with people, how to talk with people, and this is what I know patients needed. They needed and wanted my time, and so I had to be as efficient. I knew I had to be as efficient as I could be, in order to do all the things I would in my life, from the Harley riding motorcycles to rock and roll drummer, and still fit it all in, let alone my family. And my family will tell you I've always been there for them. However I worked it out,
yeah.
I don't know, but I've always been there for it. But probably the biggest thing that had come up is my awareness. When you talk about looking back, look at the industry, where we are now, is I never anticipated. I mean, and I was I trained in clinical pharmacology, and my background's in biochemistry. And, as an office-based physician, I never thought I would see people over the age of 50 or 60, like in home health, so many people over-medicated.
Right.
I mean, it is the number one medical problem, I think, that exists in medical care today. Beyond Alzheimer's disease, beyond dementia, beyond heart disease and whatever, people are just simply over-medicated. And we found that out by doing home health, because that's that patient population that gets neglected.
Yeah. Right.
Well, a chapter in the book is all about that. How to live your best life on the least amount of medication. So not only do we identify the problem of the over-medication, all these years we've been creating systems that lend itself to medication reduction. And we've saved patients thousands of dollars. We've had significant impact on lowering side effects, become much easier to manage, they become more fully functional, fully alive. And many of our patients simply get younger as they get older. It's a beautiful thing. There you go.
Very good. And so I like to ask this question to guys like you, but I'm going to spin it out a little bit, because I think you even have a better perspective on this. If you could go back today to teach an incoming pre-med student or a medical school student, what would you tell them they need to be ready for, and what skill sets should they be prepared to teach when they get out of med school?
Okay. Well, I think that if you don't focus on the personality of the patient, you'll never be able to, because the greatest limiting factor, I mean, you can know the state of the art, recommend the state of the art, but that patient is only going to be comfortable at doing what they can identify with. And if you can't identify with the patient, you're never going to be making recommendations that are going to go anywhere. So I think a physician who isn't in tune with the state of the art, let alone how to make it available to a given patient, like in Apple, we say how to make it happen. We say we'll take any patient as long as they're reasonably receptive. And everything we do, every patient we're in, every environment we're in, is always based on the personality of the facility, the team we work with, and the patient itself. So I say to keep it simple, and be in touch with the patient's personality, and use all the technology that's to come. And there will be a lot of technology to come. And unfortunately, what you're going to see is the physician is going to be more distant from the patient. You're going to have telemedicine, your nurse practitioners, your physicians. The patient's going to be there, and the doc's going to be over here. But I still say, at home health, where that doctor can visit that patient in some virtual way or real way, is really where it's at. If physicians knew, and because most people don't do house calls, if they knew what I knew in terms of what I've learned over these 12 years, I would never go back to an office. Never.
Wow. That's great. And so you're saying really use technology to get closer to the patient, not to get further away.
Yeah, and enjoy your life more, because the more efficient you are, the more you can do in your life, both professionally and socially.
I love that. Now there's going to be a lot of people in the Chicagoland area, as well as all over the place, that say, this guy's revolutionizing the way healthcare is delivered. How can they reach you?
Well, we built it as a network to be reproduced throughout the country, if not the world. And I need to ask the question, just a little gag thing, okay, but here it is. I don't know if you focus in or not, but there's Apple Medical, okay? And that's my fantastic nurse, Nikki Adams, okay? Great, with her all the time, just could never get a better nurse in my career. And you reach us by calling us. I mean, we answer our phones, believe it or not, in 1 or 2 rings. And if not, we have Apple Medical Network USA. That's the website. Apple Medical Home Health. And I don't know if you give telephone numbers, or if you guys want to shoot the shot.
Sure, yeah, we can put it up
later,
on the screen
whatever.
there for you.
There you go. And I tell you, as much as thankful to Nikki, I got to put to my wife, because my wife has been there always for me, tremendous supporter, helps make things happen, and I love her to death.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Let alone my family. I have 4 children.
You got to love your 4 children.
They all know here.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, and thank you all for joining us here on Times Square today. We'll be back to you with more great interviews from amazing experts very soon. See you next time.